Chung. Oh, gosh, blinding lights. Where am I? Chung. Oh, I think I've been handcuffed to a chair. Am I on an aeroplane? I've been kidnapped. I think I've been drugged.
Hello, Brendan.
Nathan? What are you doing here?
It's a classic movie banter.
Now dig on this.
Hey.
Welcome to Classic Movie Banter.
Welcome.
You know that
Take
show
a seat.
where me.
Sit down,
people.
Get
Sit
the
down,
fuck
people.
down.
Get down. We are here
We're here.
because this is the show where we talk about movies that are older than 20 years.
Whoa.
20 years. And we tell you guys whether they are worth still watching today or not. Like, you got your worst enemy and you strapped them to a chair, subjected them to every single Bond film released. In chronological order, Nathan. Because that is true torture.
Yeah, like what we've been going through this podcast, Brendan, we've got a weird rule on this show. And every time we do it, I question the validity of it. Because every time there's a month with 5 weeks...
You question the validity of it. It's your fucking idea. How do you think I feel?
It's like the mafia. We're too far in now, Brendan. We can't turn back. You know what I mean?
That's it. We did this twice, and I thought to myself, oh no, what have I done?
I know. It's just, yeah. So every month there's 5 weeks. We do a Bond movie. We're eventually going to review them all. And I think this is the halfway mark now because we've done a handful of them. And so this train, Brendan, it's still heading, we're on the Polar Express. We're still heading to North Pole. It's
still chugging, but there's no hot chocolate. That's the problem.
Oh, God.
What are you drinking, by the way?
Drinking coffee, Brendan, because it's so fucking early that we're recording it today. So,
funnily enough, I am too. I'm having sipping on a nice Makona here.
Oh, beautiful.
Enjoying myself.
Shout out to George Clooney. And
not an espresso, but we'll still shout you out, George Clooney, because we love you. Do we love George Clooney? I don't know. We haven't reviewed a film with George Clooney,
I don't think we have done George. I'm trying to think of George's early work that we could have done all... Because he did ER for ages, and then he did, like, the Ocean films. I'm trying to think of, like, an early Clooney thing. What do you want to talk about with Clooney? I wonder if Ocean's 11 is older than 20 years. Are we getting close to it?
Yeah, probably. Maybe we
like
should
the
talk
early
about
2000s.
Maybe we should talk about Spy Kids.
He's good in the Spy Kids movies. I love him as the president.
I do, too. His little bar...
He removes at the end, like, oh, it's great. Do you reckon he has that as a prop? You know how actors like take props from movies? Do you reckon he's just got the black bar? Just like,
I'd be disappointed if he didn't have it.
It'd be great. Like, he does interviews, but he's got that over his eyes. Like,
so Nathan, can I ask you what Bond film you're subjecting me to today?
Today we're talking about The Living Daylights. It's got Timothy Dalton. It's the only other one. We did License to Kill.
Yeah, so this is the second Timothy Dalton film.
Yeah, well, this is the first one he did.
Kill.
We've reviewed his second one, yeah.
It was actually released in 1987. It was directed once again by John Glenn, who also directed License to Kill. Who did like, he's like,
he's the Bond director. He's like a billion
He's
of
the
them.
Bond guy, you know what I mean? But he also did Octopussy, which we've also reviewed. So
check that one out.
Good on you, John. But yeah, this stars Timothy Dalton as James Bond, the guy, you know what I mean? The whole
the
whole
man
reason
himself.
we're doing this. Exactly. And yeah, it's another Bond movie. So
right,
Nathan,
great, mate. Pitch me it.
Why are we doing this again? Because like I just why have we never just like cut the cord,
we can
ties,
cut the cord
and ran away?
I mean, like, we can stop Brenton, but like, I have that sense of hope in me that maybe one day we'll... Like, we have given thumbs up to Bond movies. I think we've recommended 3 of them so far.
I can't honestly remember which ones I said.
I think we said yes to Jaws. I think we said yes...
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
We said yes to Jaws, we said yes to Odd Job, and I think we said yes to Diana Rigg. I think those are our 3.
Yeah, Odd Job was the man with the golden gun. What was that one?
How did you forget Odd Job? He's the hat one.
No, but he was in Goldfinger. That's right.
Yes, he was in Goldfinger. Yeah.
That's right. I can't remember which one Jaws was in.
Jaws was in... Oh, fuck if I know too. Yeah, I have no clue, actually. That's terrible.
See, this is the whole
I know Diana Rigg was on
mate.
Her Majesty's Secret Service. I remember that one.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that, and I remember the ending to that. But it's hard to place these films.
Yeah, also because we're doing them in a weird order where we change a Bond every time we do this.
Probably. There's no consistency.
If we did this chronologically, it might have been better, but too late to do that now.
Nah, fuck this. But Nathan, maybe it'll all change today. Who
Maybe.
knows? Nathan,
can you pitch me the movie?
so The Living Daylights.
Yes.
All right, so James Bond is back, and he looks a bit different this time.
Does.
If you're watching it in chronological order, he looks very different, and he's out doing like some reconnaissance stuff. He's out doing some like training, session with like some other.
In Gibraltar, no less.
They're all abseiling down. They're all like hanging out. They're all parachuting in. And, a few of them get taken out in...
They all go out to dinner. It's like, woo!
Because pretty
What a
much,
treat.
because, there's some paintball going on. Like, they're not in actual danger, but then lo and behold, one of them actually kills some
Oh,
people.
no.
And you're like, holy fuck, what's going on?
Do one of the agents go rogue?
And then Bond takes this person out in spectacular fashion, and we're left wondering, what the fuck's going on? And to be honest, I still don't know.
And that's the whole movie.
But we're set on this scandal of defecting from the KGB, people that are defecting from America.
Everyone's bloody defecting in this movie, left, right, and center.
Everyone's defecting. So we go to, I don't know, do we go to Russia? Where do we go? I can't
We go to Afghanistan at one point. I know that.
We go to
Oh,
Afghanistan.
no, because we
that's
start
right.
off in Czechoslovakia and then we go across the border to Austria and it keeps on bouncing back and
That's
forth.
right.
Yeah.
That is right. I was like, it was European, but like
Because
it
we go to the
wasn't.
city of love, Brenton. We're in Vienna.
Ooh, damn.
Is there some romance on the horizon, Brenton?
Ooh, there might be because there's a cellist involved.
Woo! Oh, you tease.
I really don't know what else to say. Just know that there is some infiltration. There's some espionage. Things get a little darker this time.
They do.
There's some skiing scenes.
Oh,
beautiful. It's a good time. It's the living and it has the potential to thrill the living daylights out of you. There's my pitch.
Wow. Brenton, if I was a studio exec, I would not give you a single $1.
That was a terrible pitch. That is probably the worst pitch. Like I just honestly I
Do
couldn't.
you reckon Barbara Broccoli these days, like as a Bond, the woman who runs Bond, do you reckon she just gets like directors coming in and doing exactly that? Like, here's an idea for a Bond movie. What if he goes on a mission and she's like, I'm already with you. Here's some cash.
I'm already with you. That's hilarious, dude. Mate, let's get into this because I got some things.
I got some things to say too.
Okay, so can I ask you first?
Oh,
What did you think of The Living Daylights?
I think, Brenton, this is the film that's finally broken me.
And are you saying that you really enjoyed this movie, or that you hated this movie and you don't want to do
I
it
just don't
anymore?
want to do it anymore, Brenton. This is me
Nathan.
standing on the edge of a bridge and you talking me off it. It's just like,
Yeah, I'm going to. Just know that like you have a lot to offer the world. And
no. I'm
there's
not the
some-
one on the edge. I'm on the bridge, but it's bloody Timothy Dalton that's standing on the edge, and I'm the one trying to chat to him to stay on.
Yeah, well, Nathan, I don't really know what to say to that because it's like I feel like you are on the brink at the moment, and it's quite it's not a good feeling watching you in this state because I've been there. I have been there.
Yeah, I feel like you went through this like maybe 3 Bonds ago, where you were just like let me stop this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I seriously just watching this, I felt nothing. This whole movie, not a single even umph of emotion. This entire film, I'm just sitting there, just checking how far through I am. Just like, are we done yet? Are we like after like?
Yeah, dude.
I'm like,
It's 2 hours. It's 2 hours 10 minutes. But the actual film itself, like obviously you're not enjoying it, and it's hard to. I guess it's hard to watch it on its own merits when you link it to your experiences with the other films as well.
Yeah.
But for you right now, like you're just watching this because
it's
like
funny, we don't do this that often. Like we only do it maybe every couple of months. We talk about a Bond movie. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So like we have good distance between each of them to like lick our wounds, but like here we are still feeling. Maybe it is the fact that there's fucking 20 of them.
Maybe, but obviously this film is not doing anything to still get you on board, so it's still the film's fault.
Yeah.
But Nathan, so maybe talk to that. What is it? Is it Timothy Dalton's performance?
And you know what? He's great. He's so good in this. And so after now seeing both his Bond films, I'm like, you're good. I'm so happy for you.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Is he your favorite?
I don't know if he's my favorite
Oh.
Bond, but he'd be up there. He's one of my favorites for
I
sure.
mean, there's only like 6 of them, so it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's probably top 2.
There you go.
Nathan, so I feel like I'm probably on a similar tangent to you in the scope of like where our minds are like slowly regressing and we're going insane because I have gone the other
No,
way.
you didn't.
And I actually really adored this movie. I really got amongst it and had a
Wow.
great time. And I'm genuinely questioning whether it's actually, again, is it the film or is this the effect of my experiences with the film and I'm just slowly going insane and now I'm just like accepting this and being like, woo!
It's Stockholm. You finally
amongst
fallen in
it.
love with your captive.
Yeah, dude, I love this. I
Really?
thought this was like this is one of the best ones we've watched,
Wow.
like for sure.
No, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy you found love in this prison camp, you know?
Oh, dude, Dude, yeah, and it's got issues. Like, I think the biggest issue is that, again, the screenplay and the convoluted nature of this.
I couldn't give you 2 hints of what was going on.
Like with the pitch, like, I couldn't explain. Like, I knew the characters. I think the characters are all good.
Oh,
and
yeah,
really
characters are all fine.
Characters are all great, but it's more so just, like, the intricacies of the plot and, like, why we're...
What the fuck? It's like they're trying to do Bridge of Spies, but just with some action in it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because it starts off with this kind of spy swap and, like plot, or, like, even just, like an agent trying to defect. But then it kind of goes weird directions about counter-terrorism, and then it, like, segues into bloody, like, Lawrence of Arabia at one point. Like, I don't know.
For a while, it takes like the first bit to really ground yourself, and once you meet all the characters, it starts to make sense, because then you go, oh, I understand that person, who that person is, and where they're coming from, and so I understand why Bond is doing what he's doing. But in terms of what he's doing, I couldn't tell you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but aside all that, I really enjoyed it, and it's probably the characters that saw it through, because I love Dalton as Bond. I really love Dalton as Bond. I think the Bond girl in this is an interesting one.
She's very beautiful. But actually, you know what? In fact, I think I know why you'd love this, Brenton. I think I've got a hint. Is it because we finally have a Bond movie that centers on a cello player, as you yourself are a cello player?
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to give myself...
I think there's some bias here.
Yeah, probably.
Because this whole movie, like, this Bond chick, it really centers around a cello, and a cello features prominently throughout this movie. So maybe as, like, someone who's had to lug a cello around for years as a child and all that, maybe this is your latching moment, Brenton. This is where you found your kin.
Maybe it is. Nathan, this Bond girl, though, I think with her that, like, obviously none of these films really treat women well. Let's just get that out of the way, like, to start off with. But I think she gets some moments that I'm content with. You know what I mean? Like, she gets some decent moments in this that I'm like, oh yeah, cool. She gets some shit moments as well. Don't get me wrong. Where you're like, yeah.
To be honest, in my opinion, I didn't find her that different to most of the other Bond girls. Like, she hasn't even got, like, the arc where, like, she's, like, got that agency where she's like, oh, I'm here to do this mission, whereas you're here to do that mission. She kind of just trails along for the sake of it.
No, she does. She definitely does. But there's parts where she stands up and she, you know, has some conviction, and she does what she wants to do.
All right.
And those moments are good. I was amongst those moments.
So if it wasn't the story that you like, because the story's garbage, and if there was, but there's not, like, Jaws henchmen or anything like that. There's not, like, an iconic villain in this. So I'm wondering who you latched onto, or was it just Bond and the girl? Like,
it was Bond the girl. I liked like the main players in this in terms of, like, the villains as well.
Oh, the villain's pretty boring.
Oh, I think the henchman was pretty boring if you're going to name names, but, like...
Oh, do you like the main villain because he keeps on kissing everyone and hugging everyone? He's like, hey!
I liked the main villain in the sense that he was... I think the main villain actually provided a lot of the humor in the film, even though there's very little of it compared to other films, but, like, that main villain made me chuckle a few times.
He's great. I don't think he knows he's one of those villains that don't know he's a villain. He's just doing his thing. Totally, and, like, when Bond is like, oh no, I got to take you down, he's like, why? He's like, I'm just enjoying life, man. And Bond's like, oh, nah, you're a bad bloke. And he's like, oh, okay, fair. And he just, like, hugs him. You know what I mean?
So yeah, then you have, like, John Rhys Davies' character that's, like, the general or whatever that's hanging out and is kind of like he's like kind of in the uncharted waters that Bond is in, and so he's a cool character as well in that sense, and he's a jolly fella. And then you have that other guy that's like the boyfriend, I think, of the Bond girl, like, that is, like, the reason that she's sticking around Bond is because, like, she might get to this guy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's a bit of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
What about the henchman? He was a bit just kind of...
To be honest with you, all these characters in my head, Brenton, are kind of merging into one generic white figure. You know what I mean?
What would you call, if you could, like, name a characteristic of this henchman? Because this is the problem. What is his characteristics? And I don't think any of the henchmen are really that great, but, like, Oddjob's got his hat.
I don't know.
Like, there's usually...
Yeah,
like,
there's normally, like, a standout thing about them. Like,
would you call him the balloon boy?
Oh my god. You know, it's kind of... They look as though they grabbed him off, like, a runway or something like that. Like, he's this weird kind of, like, sex symbol, kind of sexy Russian kind of... Reminds me a little bit of... who's the fucker from Rocky 4? Dolph Lundgren.
Oh.
Like, yeah, he reminds me a little bit of him. This beautiful Russian man who's just, like, for some reason he's like a KGB accent with this, like, English accent. I don't know what his thing is. Oh, maybe headphones?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, headphones and balloons. I think there is things.
Jesus, it's such an 80s thing, isn't it? Welcome to the 80s, Brenton.
Done more with the balloons is all I'm saying. If they'd done more with the balloons, maybe you would have stood out a bit more.
Do you wish he was an Up, Brenton? Like, Russell's just, like, carrying the balloons and he's also got some balloons next to him. It's like, no, Russell, run.
He puts in his headphones and they're like, fucking get out of the house.
Watch out for that.
I think as well, in terms of the screenplay, like I said, the story, like you said, the plot is a mess. But I think the actual interactions and the dialogue's really good. Like, I do enjoy the dialogue in this film, and
I think it's stock standard for a Bond movie.
I think maybe it's because the actors are selling it really well. Maybe that's the thing. I got amongst it.
I'm glad you're getting amongst it. I'm so shocked.
I thought the pacing was quite good in a lot of areas. I think.
Oh no, this shit crawled.
I know that you will probably disagree if like the pacing was off for you, but like I got amongst it. I think the action scenes are really fun. Like the opening scene's really cool. Driving off the cliff in that moment, the plane stuff.
I liked that the opening scene was just a training exercise because normally it's this high stakes mission, but it's them just literally training, and I found that really funny.
Yeah,
but and it kind of escalates as they all do. But I'm like, why is this here? It also has that classic symptom of like a Bond film having an opening sequence that has next to nothing to do with the actual movie.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
And I'm like, sure, and I'm like I'm all for going to Gibraltar. I love Gibraltar, but I'm like, I guess, sure, why not? Like,
yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great opening. Like, and it was a point like 20 minutes into it, and I kind of want to like, it's almost there's like a different rating I've got to give this movie that I've given to a couple other movies that you're just kind of going, oh yeah, like this is fucking like, this is 2 hours of my life I'm not going to get back, and you like go into it with like a certain opinion. But I like to call it the Brenton moment in terms of like, this film got me good.
Oh
you know, it was a got me good moment. This film got me good, and I was really enjoying it, and just like had such a blast. And I was watching it late. I was planning to watch like the first half. I'd planned to watch the first half over like one night, and then like wake up the next day and watch the next half. So like I didn't have to like just fucking sit through.
Yeah,
like,
I hear you.
2 hours and 10 minutes of Bond, and I ended up like staying up till like 2 a.m. watching this.
Oh wow, well done, Brent.
Yeah, one night I was just like, and I realized I was like, it had like 10 minutes to go. I was like, good Lord, like this has kept me awake.
That's amazing.
Like, this is
it was putting for me. I nearly almost fell asleep in this. Like it's so funny we've had just polar opposite reactions. I did wake up right at the end. There's like an act. There's the final action scene. Where you know Bond and the villain having this kind of tussle right before the very end, and I'm like, this is fucking excellent. But I'm like, the whole film, I don't think leading up to it, I don't think it's worth it. So
Timothy Dalton's awesome though.
He is.
Like I really like
amazing.
him as Bond. Like I think he's got such a good grasp on in terms of like what that character is and what it can
he's
be.
He's so serious and like you can tell he kind of doesn't want to be there as well. He's like, oh fuck, I got to do this now. Like,
and I think that he kind of captures this real, and I think Craig kind of does a similar thing, in that they really capture this kind of like this kind of messed up dark quality that this guy has.
Yeah.
That in the sense of like whilst he's you know he's suave. And he's he gets out there and is able to be personable. There's still something that's kind of dead about him.
Yeah,
like,
he's got that dead look where he just, you know, he feels nothing doing all this. He's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But he has to because that's just the life he's chosen. And like, I wish he had a better screenplay, frankly.
Yeah, I wish he did another one that was just like real,
Bring him
really,
back.
really fucking
Timothy
good.
Dalton's still, you know, kicking about. It's like, oh.
I think he's like 70 or something, isn't he?
He's the voice of the bloody
70s.
porcupine, whatever, in Toy Story. So
I know. And I was like, I've heard this guy's voice before. And so I did some research and looked up that he was the porcupine in Toy Story.
That's great.
And that suave British, hello, like... And that deep, he's got such a resonant sound as well.
Amazing.
God, he's got a good voice.
He's just, what an icon.
Good looking bloke and a voice to match.
There you go. Why don't you give him a big old kiss, Brenton?
Chef's kiss.
I'm not Timothy Dalton.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what came over me.
Brenton, you're just thinking of Timothy too much.
Maybe they should bring him back and I'll be the Bond girl.
I just want a soundbite of that. I'll be the Bond girl.
You're gonna edit that out, and then just before every single episode, just like have.
Can you put that on our Insta with no context, just like the 3-second audio clip? I'm the Bond girl, just to see what our listeners think. It'd be great.
I'm sure they'd agree. Who knows?
Know Sam Neill was gonna play this? They like offered it to him.
I had no idea. Really,
I'm trying to think of what Sam Neill would do with this role. Apparently, he tested really well.
Is Sam Neill a Bond?
Oh, I think at that age, this would have been before Jurassic Park as well, so it would have been even younger.
Yeah,
I think he would have pulled it off. He's kind of got that chiseled look, you know. He's got that.
You know, dude, I love Sam Neill.
He's great.
Like, what a
He's
guy.
great in everything. Like,
but he's great in everything. Not only is an extremely like talented actor, but he's not used enough. And second of all, like, I just think he's like a really kind of classy, like cool dude. When you listen to him talk,
he owns
like,
a farm. He's just, you know, just trolling about in NZ.
He's just awesome. Like I was listening to this interview once where he was like, you know, as an actor, like they were like, oh, you know, like is it hard as an actor, like, you know, like because you're going like gig to gig or whatever. And he's like, I've always like looked at it as though like I'm just like I do this, like I do, like I live. I'm Sam Neill. I do like I live life. I'm on the farm, whatever. And like acting's just something I do for fun. And I'm like, dude, if we could all be so lucky as
Oh.
Sam Neill to have such a good outlook on life and just like cruising along, and
He's just
and
enjoying
that's
life,
obviously
man.
why
It's
he's so
life and
successful.
NZ.
That's what I mean. That's what I like him, dude. He's just a cool dude. Like I'd love to. He's one of those guys. It's like he's like a Tom Hanks or someone like that. That's an actor that you just love to have dinner with and just like have a good chat.
Yeah, they'd be good to hang out with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you, Sam Neill. You weren't in this movie, and
You weren't in it, but we still love you. Have you seen Hunt for Wilder People?
I have. I watched it in the past year actually,
Oh.
and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
We're gonna get you, Sarah Connor. Like, it's great.
What a screenplay too that was. Like I know.
Yeah,
Like,
it's funny Taika won it for JoJo because I think he could have easily won it for Wilder as well.
I agree, dude. Taika Waititi, what a fantastic artist. Good on you, mate.
He should direct a Bond movie. Could you imagine a Taika directed Bond film?
I actually couldn't. When you think, like, I start to imagine it, and I'm like, this would just.
It'd be too silly. Like if they wanted to go back to the silliness of the old ones, bring in Taika. I think that would be a good injection.
Yeah,
Nolan for years has said he's wanted to make a Bond film.
I'd love to see Nolan do something with it.
Which he kind of did with the third act of Inception. Like it's
Yeah, but I'd kind of want him to. Yeah, I'd like him to do like kind of an Inception-esque thing with it. Like not obviously the sci-fi shit, but like Inception's a very like dramatic and serious film. But there's still levity in the sense of like you have like characters that offer the comedic levity and whatnot. Because the situation's so fucking bonkers, like it's like he sells it to you in a way that I don't know if another director could. So you'd like to see like some of that silliness brought in with Nolan.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of grounded in a way that like you're still attached to the character.
that's it. Okay, what if we have Nolan and Taika co-direct?
No.
Oh.
No. Taika writes the screenplay and then Nolan directs. Yeah.
Christ, now there's a mixed soup waiting to be in, you know?
Yeah. Produced by James Gunn.
Wow, now there's dream casting. Oh, Brenton, let's rate this thing.
You're fond of me lobster, ain't you?
Yeah, dude, I'm giving it a thumbs up. Like, for whatever reason, I really got amongst this. Maybe like I said, it's probably because I've slowly gone insane over the course of this podcast reviewing all these films.
Probably.
But I love Timothy Dalton. I love the cast in this. I like their interactions as characters. Like I said, the biggest negative towards it is actually the plot and the story.
It's so convoluted.
It's just a bit much in places, but at a point, there's about half an hour in that like it kind of falls away in a sense, and you understand enough aspects of it that you can sit back and enjoy it and understand who the characters are, what their motivations are, and get it.
Respectfully, I disagree on all of that.
Yeah, dude, and I can understand that as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, like if anyone can understand why you wouldn't like a Bond movie,
you.
it's this guy
Yeah.
right here. So
I don't know why I didn't feel what you felt. Like I didn't find the performances like that amazing that it lifted the whole movie up and saved it for me. Like I was
Totally.
so unimpressed with the story. I was so unimpressed with the action. I felt no tension except for that final scene. I'm like, oh, come on, movie. And if you don't feel like tension in a Bond movie, it's like it just falls flat. And this is not the one to watch. Watch License to Kill over this. At least they had bloody Bond parachuting into a wedding. It's like,
oh, I don't know. Which, yeah, that's a good question, whether I'd watch License to Kill or this. I think I'd watch this. Anyway, continue.
that's all right. No, the other one has Benicio del Toro. I mean, we know which one to watch.
Yeah.
Like- nah, sorry. Don't watch it. But maybe listen to Brenton. Maybe you'll enjoy it, but I don't think so.
Did you enjoy the practical effects quickly and like...
Yeah, but I always do. Like, they'll blow a thing up for real, or they'll have like a car, bust through a barrier, and you're like, holy shit, they really did that. Like, that's impressive.
There was a few interesting
Yeah,
things.
there were moments where I screamed like "holy shit" and I woke up because they did a stunt that was like like they actually did that. But like again,
Yeah,
that would have
yeah.
been like a 2-second period after like a 10-minute sleep. So
Dude, let's get into some spoilers so we can talk about those moments that made you scream holy shit.
you spoiled it.
What?
The movie.
Oh.
This is your baby. Like, well, do you want to start from the very beginning? Like,
Yeah, let's start from the top. So obviously we have this scene where basically it's like a spy training scene. All the spies are, and by the way, all the spies suck apart from
it's
Bond.
so
Like,
weird.
They're all
Like,
shit.
yeah, they're all really shit. And I'm like, are these? Is this Bond in his first mission? Because it could be. Looking at the level of like other spies.
I tried to look at it as well, like, all the spies drop in, and I was like, well, obviously, like, because someone, comes in and starts killing people for real, and shit hits the fan. And I was like, well, maybe because of that, they weren't on their game, they weren't expecting it. But like, literally in this training module, like the trained soldiers that are like the guys that are like roaming this like cliff or whatever with the paintball guns, literally like take out like 2 guys or something, I think, and they're like, hey, you're out, and it's like, hang on a second, these guys are meant to be like MI7. Like
they're out immediately. It's like you got that, like, it's like you're going for an actual paintball game. You got that one bloke who's like, oh yeah, I win every paintball game, man. And he gets like hit in the first round. You're like, wow, good work, mate.
Also, that guy sucks that's just like hanging from his rope. He's like climbing up this cliff. And then the villain, the henchman comes, like...
He cuts that rope so slowly.
Yeah, he sends him a message down first of all, and then he has a knife out and he's just like hanging it by the rope for a while. And this guy who's just like on the cliff face does nothing. In Mission Impossible, in the most recent Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise was in a situation where he and Henry Cavill were hanging off a cliff, and there was a helicopter rope thing that was the helicopter's below them, and it's tied to a part in the cliff. And Tom Cruise knows to get the fuck off the rope and to start climbing like freehand.
Yeah, he's
like,
ready to go. This guy's like, what's a cliff? He's like, I need my rock climbing gear. Yeah.
He just does nothing. He doesn't pull out a pistol and decide to take a shot. He doesn't do anything. Now, granted, I don't know what I would necessarily do in that situation, but this guy's a trained MI7 agent. Like, it was just bizarre.
It's ridiculous, frankly. Like, and like, yeah, they all get taken out. I'm like, sure, kill these characters. I don't care about. But I love that it ends with, of course, it ends with fucking Bond just landing in this yacht with this woman who's like, oh, if only a real man would enter my life in Gibraltar, and you're just like. Oh, Bond.
Classic.
Like, and then
Classic. I love, though, that scene where he goes off the cliff, though, like, within that, he drives that truck off the cliff and there's the explosives in it and it just goes...
Boom.
Like,
yeah.
What a moment, dude. It's so cool.
And it also, like the henchman realizes it, and there's, like, a brief millisecond where, like, he screams, and he almost looks towards the camera, and he pulls this really funny face. He's like, and then the truck goes boom. And then Bond's like, woohoo!
There were so many moments in that bit that I was like, Nathan might pick this as a still.
I was tempted.
Just this guy's facial expressions.
I was tempted. We'll get to the actual still later. But yeah, and then it segues to a shitty song. I didn't like the song in the titles. Like,
it was kind of weird, wasn't it? It was like a kind of salsa-esque, like...
Yeah. It wasn't as 80s as I was expecting, because I'm like, we're in the proper 80s now, so like...
It was a bit underwhelming, that song. Actually, that song played and I was like, oh gosh, here we go again. And I was happily...
Here we go.
Happily surprised.
Do you want to know who my favorite character was in this movie?
Who?
My favorite character was easily... She only had one scene, but she easily stole the movie. It was the female co-worker in like the pipe plant.
Yes.
She is
amazing. What the hell was going on there? I couldn't even tell you.
She's in it for like one scene, but she might be the best character in a Bond movie. Hands down.
That was a moment that woke me up and I was like, wait, what's going on?
What is going on? Because they steal the guy, the KGB agent that's defecting. They have to put him in like a fucking pipe, which he's like, nah, he takes like a fucking pipe from from one country to another, which is just a whole host of issues. But as they're fitting him in, Bond's like to her, oh, can you distract your coworker? And I assume she was just going to take him out, like every other henchman.
Yeah.
Like she's just going to kill the other guy. But she walks in and she's this very like kind of, like tough girl. And she walks in and then she just does this like undressing like, oh, hello. And the coworker's like very confused. And he's like, I don't know if I actually want this. But she's like, come here, Liu. And she's like just...
And then the coworker's just like, I think I'm just going to go along with it. Like just because I think I have to like, right now. Like it might be out of fear. It's just like, oh, what if I don't? So it just like kind of ambles over and they have this moment. And then she just kind of like goes, like she uses him in that moment and then just...
She motorboats him. She like rubs his face in her boobs. And then as Bond's like pressing buttons, she has to be louder. She's like, oh, it's like as if she's burying his face in her boobs. And then like, it's so weird because then when Bond's done, she just like shoves him out of the way and zips back up as if it never happened.
What's the line she says though? She's like, do you think I'm that kind of woman or something like that? Like...
And she says this with such sincerity as well. And the guy's just so fucking confused as to what happened. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Oh.
Speaking of the bit before that, though, I really liked this idea that the film introduced in terms of the plot when the cellist sniper is kind of introduced, and
I
you're
won't
like,
shoot her because she's hot. It's like, fuck off, Bond. Like,
no, but it's like in that it's not even that. It's that like in terms of the plot, it's like she's not actually like a sniper. She's just like on top of there, like because at first you're like, oh, it's like one of those Bond girls that is like very much a villain and is very much like involved in the plans and whatnot. That like Bond then like coerces into like changing sides or whatever. When she's just kind of like a passenger in the sense of like she's a victim of the situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, but it made me think if someone handed you like a sniper rifle and said, oh, can you just go like fire some blanks from the top of like this building after you perform your concert? Would you do it?
I mean, it was communist Eastern Europe, you know, so like it was a different time, Brenton.
Hey, that is true. That is fair
like,
enough.
She knew who she was hanging out with. Like, she knew who she was dating. So, like, in saying that, though, I'd be kind of like, like, it's a miracle she lived. If it wasn't Bond, any other agent would have shot her in the face. So, like, it's lucky
Yeah.
the Bonder shoots the gun. She's like, oh, whoops, butterfingers.
Not necessarily, because I took it as like any agent would know that like that wasn't a real sniper, because you'd look at them and be like, this person has like zero training, and
Yeah.
they're just kind of like hanging
Which
out.
Bond calls out, and I like that. He still has like morals by that point.
Yeah. And he's kind of like, this person has no training, and she's like picked the most obvious fucking window
Yeah.
across from me.
Exactly.
So,
No
like-
wonder. But we don't find out much later on that she was firing blanks. So for that little start, but you're going, what's her deal? What's her MO? You know, like.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I love as well when like he shoots her, Dalton gets a chance to drop the title line. He's like, oh, I scared the living daylights out of her. I'm like, well done, Timothy Dalton.
I know,
Like,
right?
oh,
I was like,
jeez.
there we go. Good on you, Timothy. So, we have many things that happen in this film.
We could talk about the bloody gadgets in this movie because there's a couple I literally scratched my head at. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Did they involve an Aston Martin, Nathan?
Oh, we could talk about the car if you want. Yeah, I was more thinking about
Yeah.
just Q's like the boom box. As he calls it, the ghetto blaster, which is like maybe one of the most racist things I've heard in a while. Like,
Yeah, that made me like prick my ears up, and I was just like, what did he just say? That? And I
oh,
was
this
like,
is the ghetto blaster. We'll blast at the ghetto. I'm like, and to hear like Q, the whitest man in this movie, to say that, I'm like, oof, mate, you're not doing yourself favors.
Okay. Yeah, what did you think of Q's couch as well?
Oh my god, that was fucking incredible. Cause it's such like a small moment where like Bond just walks past and some poor fucker just gets sucked into a couch and we never hear from him again. Like, is he still in the couch?
Yeah, like, or is he like dead now? Like, does that couch like kill people?
Well, yeah,
Like, is
what's
it a-
under the couch? This is a couch that like eats someone up and then Q just sits in there going, haha, this was fun. like what's, do you reckon that like the prisoners they get from these missions and all the previous Bond films, they get sent to Q's lab and he's got this weird like
Absolutely.
absence of jurisdiction where like he just like uses them as like test dummies for his like weird sadistic trials.
It makes you look at Q in a different light.
I wonder
doesn't
if
it?
like
That's the
I wonder
case.
if in No Time to Die like Ben Whishaw is just gonna like ramp it up and we discover that like he's just been torturing people for years.
Maybe the case is that like they think Rami Malek's the villain, and he's like, guys, I'm just trying to take out Q. Do you know what the fuck's going on? And then Bond finds out, and then Ben Wishaw's the villain, like for the rest of the
I
film.
am all for that. And you know what? I'm surprised they've never done it. Like, Q would be such an interesting villain because they couldn't use the gadgets. In fact, it's the gadgets against Bond.
Yeah.
And it could be like a metaphor for technology overtaking agents, and Q's like, I'm Q because I'm the best.
Except I think Ben Whishaw would probably deliver that line a bit better. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, I want Ben Whishaw to segue into like a mustache twirling villain, like because he's clean shaven for these movies, so he has like a little like Groucho one he puts on, and is like,
no, maybe it's like he like rips off like there's like a fake layer of skin there, and he rips it off, and he's actually had a mustache the whole time. It's like, you are a villain.
Oh, that'd be great. I like Desmond, whatever his name is in these movies. I think he's a fine Q, but like he's just doing the same shit every movie, so you kind of are invisible to
Yeah.
it. So like,
So speaking of Bond's Aston Martin
Here
in
we
this
go.
film, and its ability to like have this laser that cuts the bottom of a car out from
like
under
so
it.
cleanly, like perfectly.
Like it makes no sense. It's like that scene in Emperor's New Groove when Trunk's like, by all accounts, it makes
Every
no,
character
makes
just
no sense. And
shrugs.
it's
Like, yeah.
yeah, everyone's just like, all right, cool. And she's like, how did that even happen? And he's like, and he gives some bullshit
Yeah.
response, and you're like, oh god.
This is probably the most active we've seen a Bond car in a while. Like it's
Yeah,
it's,
dude. It does like 8 things.
Yeah.
It shoots missiles. It has like a rocket boost on the back. It has skis.
Yeah.
It has like snow treads that just like pop out from the tires. What else? It's got
It's
so
pretty.
much shit.
And you know, I actually really love that scene where it's like on the ice, and you know they're all the cars are smashing into each other, and then Bond's got to jump over the barrier, and you see the villains try and do it, and they of course smash into all.
I love as well that like they managed to like get one of the tires out. Like they bust one of the tires, and then he like uses the wheel of the car to like cut around the ice, and so like
Yeah, and it's a perfect circle, and then like they're slowly sinking into the water, and the henchman's like, "Oh fuck!" They're trying to climb out the car.
Yeah.
like
they're like, shit, this escalated quickly.
Oh.
Yeah. I did enjoy that scene. I got
oh,
amongst
it
it.
was so good. He crosses the border. Oh, and he just, yeah, we'll talk about that with the still, but like, it's amazing.
totally.
I love this car, actually. I think it's the return of the Aston Martin. I remember for the promotion for this movie,
Yeah.
they made like a big thing about like the Aston Martin's back. And I don't think the car looks that good personally, just in my own opinion.
Oh, I do. I really like
Oh,
the car.
really?
I think it looks
It's
cool.
like the 280s for me aesthetically.
Yeah, like I get that. Like if I had to pick, like I'd pick the classic.
Yeah, you'd want the classic Connery one. Like,
But I still really like this one. I think it's really cool.
it's excellent. I'm all for that car. You know, and I love that when she's in it, she's just like, wait a minute, what's going on? She's just casually just sitting there, just like, oh yeah. Like,
Yeah, she's just checking her cello in the back, you know.
that was so funny. She's like, we got to go back for the cello. And Bond's like, we're not going back for the cello. And then like hard cuts to them getting the cello. Like,
I loved it too. Oh, and he has that line of like, why didn't you just learn to play the violin?
did that resonate with you as a cello player? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Because my mum has said that to me so many
Oh,
times when we were lugging this fucking cello around. She was like, why couldn't you just learn the violin, Brenton?
Oh.
And I was just like, well, man, I did this for you, Mum.
it's
I did it all for you.
Jeez. There we go. Shout out to Sharon. but like, also you would know this as a cello player. What has got bullet holes in it? Does it sound the same? Because I thought
No, it would not sound the same if it was used to ski and have bullet holes
She
in it.
uses it later, and I'm like, this shit's damaged. Like, this shouldn't.
And you can see the bullet hole still in it. Like, you can see that it's
Even
damaged.
just like having it in the snow, just like the temperature exposure to the wood, I thought
Yeah.
would like the strings would be completely out. Like, as string players ourselves, Brenton.
As string players ourselves, we know that like if you like with even if you have like a world-class case, there is always the chance that if you're like traveling interstate, if you're like on a plane or whatever, and like it's not well looked after, like there's always the chance that something's just going to happen, and it can be like a little jolt or something that could fuck something
Yeah.
up internally. And like you said, like the temperature's important. Obviously, whether it stays like, you know, dry is really
Yeah.
important as well. Like not getting something wet, like, cause it's a natural product. It's wood. You know what I mean? It's
Oh.
not.
I wonder if they pitched this movie as like, I wonder if like what the original pitch for this was, James Bond has to do his normal shit, but he also has to take care of a fucking cello. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine James Bond on this mission, but he also has to keep the cello safe. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there is a lot of gags than that.
I honestly thought this was going to become that. Like, there was going to be like an escort mission, basically, but like James Bond had to look after this like very special cello.
Oh, jeez.
You find out it's a very special cello as well. It's an expensive
It's a
cello.
very, yeah, it's got a name. Oh, what the fuck? When Bond's like, every cello's got a name. I'm like, do they? Like-
Yeah, dude, my one's called Sandra. She's just sitting in the corner at the moment,
jeez.
hanging out. Hey, Sandra.
Oh,
She doesn't talk to me ever. It's really annoying.
no.
Sandra.
I can just imagine a cello, but you've like strapped like a mannequin's like head on top of it, like where the like where the tuners are. I'm like, Brenton, we need to talk about this. This is not okay.
This is why we don't record at my house.
No, frankly, for various reasons we'll get into.
Yeah, because Sandra would just interrupt us. I mean,
No, I do. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I don't want that image in my head, Brenton. What have you done? But my favorite line in this movie involved the cello because it's when they bloody go into Austria and like they cross the border and they scream at the border guards, "We got nothing to declare, just a cello." It's so good. And they're just all like, what the fuck's going
and the guard
on?
doesn't really bat an eyelid. He just like kind of watches it go past, and he's like, "Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's kind of made my day. That was
Oh,
interesting."
gee. I love the role that cello plays in this movie. I love that at the end of it, like her punishment, like the villain's like got her locked up, whatever it is, and he says to her at one point that like he's gonna like kill Bond or whatever it is, but her punishment is that she's gonna be demoted to a shittier orchestra. He's like, "Oh, you have to play the cello in Siberia with their orchestra." She's like, "Oh no, they're not as posh." Like that's her punishment.
She was literally like she looked like she was in tears. Like at that
Oh.
point, she was like,
Because she wants to play with like the Moscow like Philharmonic or whatever it is, but he's like, "No, you have to play with the Siberian one." She's like, "Oh no, those bastards!" Like it's so good.
so
oh,
funny.
Jeez.
What a way to punish someone.
It's like I don't have to play their shittier repertoire. It's like, lady, get your issues in order. Like,
Get your priorities straight.
Brenton, what do you think's worse, being strangled by headphones or listening to 80s music as you're being strangled? Would it kill you? Would strangling by headphones actually kill you? Like,
Probably not. Probably not. Those chords are
why
too
is
thin.
that?
You could probably. So I'd take that option because like I think if I was going out to like Bon Jovi or something, I'd have a good time. You know what I mean?
maybe that's why Apple invented the AirPods. Like Tim Cook was watching this movie and he's like, "We got to get rid of the wires. This could be a weapon."
You know what? That's probably what happened. Oh man.
What a weird ass like thing. Like I criticize this with all the henchmen. Like Oddjob's hat makes no sense or everything, but like really like headphones. Like
So many uses. You know, you can listen to music, you can strangle people, you can use it as a rope, I guess, maybe, you know.
that's what he should have done at that final scene when they were like fighting on like the bloody thing hanging out of the plane. He should just like use the rope of like the headphone cord to like hold on. Like
That was a cool fight when they were hanging out the side of
that was the bit at the end where I'm like, this is amazing.
And I love that like the way that he beats him was just like by like getting rid of his shoelaces.
Oh my
Like I
God.
thought that was such a fun idea. And then he just flies off and I was like, that's great. That's so
It leads
cool.
to
Like,
it leads
you
to the best line of the movie where she's like flying the plane and she's like, "What happened?" And then Bond says, "He got the boot."
know. Yeah, it's so good.
I'm like, amazing.
I lolled at that. I thought that was hilarious. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh.
he got the boot. And then, like, she just doesn't even question that. She's like, okay.
Oh yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, and it's so funny because like that's amazing because it looks real. Like they actually dangled people at the end of that plane, and like I was holding my breath the whole time in that fight, and they're just punching each other, and they're all about to slip off, and like the parcels are flying everywhere. I'm like, this is great. I'm like all for this. YouTube this scene if you don't watch this movie.
I can't think of another, like, Bond film that I was, like, honestly, during an action set piece. Like, there's others that are amazing, don't get me wrong. But this one had tension.
Yeah.
Like, this one was, like...
Genuine tension.
You know, making me feel it. And I really appreciated that. And it was something that's been sorely lacking from this series for a while.
When she almost crashed the plane, did it remind you of Mission Impossible 2? Like the opening?
Absolutely. I was just like, oh gosh, here we go again.
Oh, no.
Here we fucking go again.
Oh, no.
Where's Richard Roxburgh? Where is he?
That'd be great. Also, it's so funny because Bond's like, oh, we've got nowhere to land to get in the Jeep. And one, that reminded me of 2012 when they're also in the plane, they got to get in the cars.
Yeah, yeah. That great film that we're going to review in a few years.
Yeah, in like, wait, 8 years. But also, it's clear that when they get into the Jeep, they like land on like a perfect like open desert. I'm
Yeah.
like, what do you want about this nowhere to land? You have like an open desert that like you could just...
It was bizarre,
so
wasn't it?
weird. I'm like, what's going on?
But Nathan, it worked out in the end. So it's
Bond's
okay.
like, oh, I know where there's a good restaurant over there. It's like, oh.
But before the film ends, he has to go take out the real villain, who's that arms dealer.
Oh, what the fuck is going on with Afghanistan in this movie? Because like...
Dude, how funny is this guy's museum? Like where the
Oh
climax
my
of the film
god.
happens.
I love that shot where it pans across all the mannequins and the villain's standing there and you think he's a mannequin.
Oh,
That's an amazing
it's so
shot.
good. It's so good. I absolutely adored
And then
that.
he sprung
and then we
to
got
life.
to go into his... And I love these secret lairs, just like this like historic museum of like guns and shit. And he's just got guns around and like little booby traps around and that's it.
And it's Chekhov's museum because oh boy do they get used by the end of the movie.
What was with that gun he had that had like the body armor that was like attached to the sights of the gun?
Yeah.
It was like a automatic rifle, and he comes around the corner and he's got like this weird like plastic thing covering his face, and he's like, haha, gotcha now. And I was like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is so stupid. And the one that like activates the bomb, like it's like the bloody cannon. It's like, tss, and Bond's like, oh no.
Oh, dude, like it's one of those cases. It's like in some video games when like you're in a room or whatever, and there's something that's clearly been put there for you to use to like take some guys out, and like you can like activate it or
Yeah,
whatever.
you could use your gun, but you've also got this cool ass shit just sitting there.
Yeah, and it's just sitting there. But then when you start to think of the logic of it, it's like, why is that there? And why would it be placed there? And why is it facing in that direction? You know what I mean? Why would this guy, like, in his design of this place, like, he has this little booby trap, like, cannon thing. Someone has to be standing in that exact spot for you to use that.
I think he's just really excited he can use it. Like when Bond stands there, he's like, holy fuck, what are the odds? And he's like, I gotta fire it. Like,
he's like, I've been waiting my whole life for this moment.
that's because it like blasts apart half his museum, but he's like, he doesn't even care. He's just like, just the fact I can use it. Like he's all for it.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. But then Bond uses his own little explosive against him, which is something that's used a couple of times.
Those bloody keys.
The keychain has the bomb on it that's like whistle activated.
Oh my god!
So he starts like whistling.
That opens a whole host of issues for me. You know what I mean? Like you know how I wish this movie ended. I think it is the final scene where like he surprises her at a concert and like he rocks up and like she whistles at him and he whistles at her back and she's like got the keys. I just wish by accident she whistled the wrong tune and the keys exploded in her grip.
I wish they ended like, because you know how they end on the Ferris wheel. And like, so they you know, the Ferris wheel scene is happening.
Want another spin?
Yeah, they're macking out. But it's like it's like set during the day, right? And then like a bird just starts chirping by them, and Bond goes, "Oh fuck!" And then
He's just got this weird thing for doves. Like, oh my god, it'd be great.
oh no!
But you know what? The movie should have ended when they drove off after the plane crashed. I feel like it should have cut there.
Maybe like that was the climax.
It felt like that was where it naturally... I guess you have the other Bond guy who lives, but honestly, I just wasn't following the plot by that point, so I didn't care.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Oh,
Oh jeez! Oh no!
God, no.
Oh shucks!
I got a
Nathan.
fun fact I want to drop in here before we move on. So Prince Charles was on set when they were filming this movie. You know, the future king himself. He got to... So when they had like the boombox that had the rocket in it in Q's lab, he got to be the guy that pressed the button that caused the explosion.
Really?
So he's not in the movie. He's like off stage like with the actual detonator.
But he's like, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm imagining like some AD just walked up to Prince Charles. He's like, you want to blow something up? And he's like, fuck yeah. Like, I'll do it. And
He's like, this is for you. And he's like, thank you. You're welcome, Your Highness.
they don't even tell him what it is.
You know, like
they just start rolling the cameras and they're like, just here's a button. He's like, he just presses it and it's like, woo! Like, that's an ADR out like his screen when it got blown up.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. I did not know that. Thanks for that fun tidbit.
Oh, you're welcome, mate. Do you want to get into a...
Oh, dude, you read my mind. Let's get into some
Let's get the
special
fuck out of
segments.
Here. Leaving the spoiler section.
Special segment.
Ooh, so special. We're going back to one we haven't done in a while, Brenton. Let's talk about actors popping up in other films.
Let's do it.
Because we got Gimli in this movie.
We certainly do. John Rhys Davies is in this movie as the General. And if you don't know who John Rhys Davies is, like Nathan, then like I honestly I lose some respect for you instantly because he played Gimli in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And he's got the most amazing voice. He also played Salah in the Indiana Jones film. So I think he's in The Last Crusade, and he's also in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's like Indy's mate. And I just think he's a wonderful actor. He's also Man Ray in SpongeBob SquarePants.
What a filmography. Like, this guy's great. I kind of wish, though, in this movie, though, like, as they're on the horses, like, running about, like, he's with them. And, like...
Yeah, dude. I was getting major like Indiana Jones, like the Raiders of the Lost Ark vibes when I was like, I saw the horses coming. I was like, if John Rhys Davies is on one of those horses, it's like it's gonna take me back. It's gonna take me back. I'm gonna be like, where's Harrison? You know,
it'd be great. I was actually hoping more for Lord of the Rings. Like they just start like knocking out some bad guys, and he's like 27, 28, and then fucking Legolas rocks up, and he's like, what's your count? Like,
maybe he's like, we should go through the mines of Moria Pond, and it's like, what?
Timothy Dalton's just actively confused. He's like, what's going on?
What are you talking about? Oh, my father's there. We should like go and he'd give us a warm welcome.
Oh my
it's
God.
Like, what?
You know, it'd be funny because you've seen the Hobbit films, haven't you?
I have.
I love it when we meet like his dad and like he's got like a weird photo of him as like a kid.
He's like, that's my wee lad.
You should have had that moment like where he's just opening up like a little locket that he's got with him. That's me wee lad, Gimli. And Timothy Dalton's like, I thought you were Gimli.
Or if he's like with Bond at the end, like he comes in that last scene and like Bond's like, oh, you're here, and he's like, never thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf. And then Bond's all like, what about side by side with a friend? And he's like, I could do that.
Oh, that shit was so weird. I don't know why they're all on horses running about. It's
or like Bond uses that like whistle activated like bomb, and then he like comes in and he's like, "You're full of surprises, Master Baggins."
This movie would have been so improved by having Gimli in it. Jeez. That's what it should have. It just had Gimli, like he's actively confused, like this isn't Middle Earth. He's just like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna kill some people. Like
it's like that scene where Bond's about to kill him and he's like, I have to die, but instead of saying I have to die, he just like gives some random like Lord of the Rings quote, like he's all just like, dwarves are natural sprinters. And it's like,
jeez. Oh, I love Gimli, bless him. Oh. Do those horses remind you of Rise of Skywalker a little bit, where they're all just charging
the
I want someone to do a fan edit with just like Bond and like all those horses just on top of like a Star Destroyer, just
absolutely. And BB-8's just rolling in front of them, and it's just like, yeah, let's go, boys, let's go. Yeet.
Here we go. I love BB-8 in this movie. Jeez, just
Nathan, what stills this movie? Ooh, it's blinding.
I'm so glad we finally get to talk about this, Brenton. We've saved the best to last.
I will introduce this for you because what stills this movie is a segment on our show where either Nathan or myself, we choose a single frame from the film we're reviewing, and it can be something that's either funny, poignant, or something that just looks really cool. And we put that image on our Instagram and on our YouTube, links below.
There's a lot to say. Because James Bond, when the car blows up, he's like, fuck it, how are we going to get down this snow mountain? And he's like, wait, the cello. And they open up the case, and they both get into it, and they slide down it like a fucking sled, and he uses the cello as a fucking oar to guide their way down the mountain.
This just would never happen.
No,
like this,
for
like
so many reasons.
Obviously, like this film is pretty grounded, but like when this happens, it's like all bets are off. This is just like we're in,
and it's
fantasy land
amazing.
now. And I love it. It's so stupid.
I wish I was told going into this movie that this scene existed, because I would have been so high. If someone said to me, this movie has James Bond going down a snow mountain where a cello case is a sled, I'm all for it.
We've reviewed a few skiing scenes on
we
the
have.
show. Like,
Shout out to Spellbound.
yes, shout out to Spellbound, you know, and like that was probably the best one, like going through them all, like the one that sticks out in my mind from these episodes. This has overtaken it.
Wait, Spellbound's the best skiing.
Not the best, but like in terms of like when we were reviewing episodes, that was the review that I remember. Like,
You and I consistently ridicule Spellbound for its skiing scene.
that's what I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying that like in terms of like our show and entertainment value and talking about something,
Oh, right.
Spellbound was something that we had a lot of
Yes.
fun talking about, and the other ones have been fun as well. But like this one, I think has taken the cake
Oh
as
my
like
God.
something that is so outlandish, so ridiculous that it's just like it just sticks in my mind now as like the iconic
This is it.
skiing scene from this that we've reviewed on this show. Like it's so. There's so many funny things that happened in this scene
Yeah.
as well. One is like when the cello gets shot, and she looks at him like he's a monster, and he just goes, "Sorry about that." and then he just keeps using it as like he's fucking like.
I love it that
skiing.
like he's using it as an oar, but for her, it having a bullet hole is the thing that like crosses the line. It's like, no, even if this
I know.
wasn't shot, you would never be able to use this instrument again. It's like, also the way he's using it to steer them. I don't know why he's doing it, but he's got like the little pointy bit underneath the cello as like the thing to use, like to steer them. When it would have fuck all effect, you'd want to use the actual like neck of it, wouldn't you?
Mate, if you use the neck of it, it'd be alright for like maybe 2 like steers, and then like it'd like crumple.
Yeah.
Like it'd.
It's just, it's ridiculous. And it's so huge and heavy. I know how they did it. Like,
The fact that like he managed to keep like the whole thing intact, like in terms of like the woodwork, the strings stay intact, the bridge of it stays intact, like which is just
yeah.
like a tiny piece of wood that's holding the strings. Like it's absolutely ridiculous how like fragile and amazing these things are. But also like this is like a famous cello that's been bought for this woman. So you can imagine it's pretty old as well, you know, and has had to be like upkept and like looked after very, very carefully so it's stayed intact and it keeps its sound quality. This thing's fucked up.
it's
to
so
this.
fucked.
And then like
also, why not use the bow? Where's the bow in all of this? Because, you know,
I had the thought that she's sitting on it in the case, because like the place where it would be in the case is the fact of where she's sitting. She was probably like, let's use the bow, and maybe she was like, no, not the bow, and she sat on it to
oh
keep
my
it
god,
safe.
like a mother hen on her nest. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, and it's funny because this is the one opportunity where you could use a bow as a sword. Because as a
Yeah.
child, when you have a bow, everyone's done this. You have a sword fight with your bow. It's a fun
Yeah.
thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, even though you really should because it's a delicate object. But this would be the one fucking movie where it would be justified narratively to whip out a fucking bow that you would use for a cello and just start whacking some villains with it. You know what I mean?
I couldn't believe it. Like during the scene, I was really worried about the cello. If I'm being honest, because I was like, oh no. I was like, well, obviously the cello's gonna be gone, and that's really sad because I like the cello. Because like I'm a
Yeah.
cello player, so I'm like, oh, I want the cello to survive. And I was like, oh gosh, it's gonna like die in some stupid explosion. But it's just beyond like comprehension that it stays intact.
And also, they don't crash into a tree or anything like that.
Oh, correct. And also, like, that no one shoots them from, like, the 20, like, skiers with, like, automatic rifles that are, like, following them. And, like, you know, like, it's just ridiculous.
It's moronic. And bless it when they go past the border security. They just get through immigration.
Oh, and for some reason, after they get past the border, like, none of the skiers follow them.
Yeah.
Like, they just, like, are away. And also, like, for some reason, this is such a good, like, sled that it manages to, like, keep going for so long.
It's just, yeah, it's weird that, like, the slope just naturally doesn't, like, they just consistently go down it. Like,
Yeah, because, like, that evens
Yeah.
out that slope when they go past that border security, but they just keep
considering
going.
how rocky this would be as well, it's a miracle they stay in the case. You know what I mean? Like, you would fall out of that in a second. Like,
Yeah.
a single bump would, because there's no support. You would just get flung out of it. You know what I mean?
Hey, speaking of Rocky 4, could you imagine if they were, like, going down the slope and then you saw, like, Rocky, like, running up the slope? Like, because he was doing his training in Rocky 4. He's like, hey, Adrian, what's going on?
Jesus. I know, like, Rocky gets lost in, like, the mountains when he's doing his little hike in his jacket,
Yeah.
and he has to get down the mountain, and suddenly, like, Adrian comes by in a helicopter and just, like, flings down a cello case. She's like, good luck.
And the cello as well, and he's like, okay,
I
Adrian.
guess I got to play a cello. What? Gonna play my little sad tune as I go down a mountain. That's sliced of life.
Oh,
Let's
mate.
look at this film's poster.
Let's do it.
Banter.
Yes.
Let's look at this film's poster.
But is it art? I'm looking at this poster, and I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. I'm very mixed
I
about
like
this.
the left of it. I like there's this beautiful kind of rainbow montage of Timothy Dalton. He looks as though he's doing like a kind of like, oh, by the way, posters in the links below if you want to see it. But he kind of looks as though he's doing like a kind of like jazz hands, like ta-da, in like the center of it.
I love the illustration of Timothy Dalton. I think it's perfect. I love it, and I love the illustrations around it as well. But I think it's that thing of that, like, seeing a poster on landscape just never works for me. Like, and I know that like older movies used to do this all the time. They used to have some posters that were like on the landscape, and yeah, like there's a few of them that do this, but like it just doesn't work for me. I like the kind of.
To be honest with you, I don't have an issue with it being landscape per se. I just think there's a lot of nothing in it. There's just a lot of black, and it's just that one beautiful color in the center.
I mean, I like what's going on. Like, if I was to change it, I don't know. Like, I feel like obviously we got to keep Dalton. I like the illustration of the Aston Martin. I like the illustration of the Bond
All
girl
the
with
illustrations
sniper
are
rifle.
great. Look at all the horses; they look badass, don't they? Like,
But I feel like you could just change a few things around so it's not.
I'd put the title
said, it's
in,
not as
in the
empty.
red bit, like the Living Daylights, and then just strip away the rest
yeah.
of the poster, so it's just that rounded thing.
Yeah, dude, that's a perfect. I couldn't agree more. Well done. Are you a poster designer?
Apparently.
Yeah.
After 110 episodes, I've got the qualification, friend.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. So you can stop the podcast now. You've made it in life.
You can finally unchain me, Brenton. Oh, jeez.
Yes, I can. I'll think about it. Maybe at the end of the episode.
Oh no! I love the slogan as well. The new James Bond, "Living on the Edge." That would have always been a good title, like "Living on the Edge."
Gosh, Timothy Dalton looks really like good in a suit as well. Like in a
so
in a
cool
tux.
in a suit.
It's like in the film as well. Like in the fairground scene where he's on the Ferris wheel and he goes to like I think he goes to the opera as well. And the suit he wears in that, I was like, damn, I want that suit.
He's got a good suit.
It's a good solid suit.
Oh.
Good on you, Dalton.
Well done, Dalton. Title talk.
Ooh, it's the title.
Nathan, why the fuck is this film called The Living Daylights?
Well, I know why. Because this is the last Bond movie, I think, for 20 years that actually used the title of like an Ian Fleming book. So there is a book out there called The Living Daylights. And then I think after this, they stopped. Because I think either one, they were out of books, or two, they heard the title The Living Daylights and like, we really should stop this shit. And they're like...
Yeah, and they're like, how do we justify the title? Maybe he just says it at some point. I think I scared the living daylights out of someone.
Were the Living Daylights in The Living Daylights? God, no. Like, what does it even mean?
Well,
like...
Well, I guess like people were living during daylight. So, I mean, technically, yes.
No. No, I'm smacking that shit down, Brendan. This title has no place in this movie.
Can I Google what the living daylights actually means?
It's from that phrase, like, you've scared the living daylights out of me. So I presume if you've scared something out of you, like, it means maybe like your alertness or whatever it is. Like, I don't know.
Brenton's Googling it. The living daylights. So it's just something with great severity.
What would you call it instead if the living daylights isn't doing its job?
I think I'd call it...
Cello on Ice?
Like, I was considering something with the cello.
Oh.
Cello on Ice is pretty good.
What about like The Final Note or like...
Oh, that's good. Dude, that's a good title, The Final Note. I like that. I was going to say like Living on the Edge or something like that. Like
Living on the Cello. Instead of just like gliding down the mountain.
Sliding on a cello.
We'll call it Four Strings.
Like Living Daylights just doesn't really sound like a Bond film either, does it?
No. It does do that thing where it's like, takes that catchphrase like live and let die. Like scared the living daylights. Like... You know, it has that kind of catchphrase element to it, but I think they could do a lot better. Oh well, passing it to the people.
Pass it here.
What?
The power to the people.
Just letting you guys know that on the tomato meter, this film currently holds a critical consensus of 72% with an audience score of 66%. So not bad. Not bad, but not bad, but not necessarily fantastic either. It's kind of 7 out of 10. It's sitting around. So Sheila Benson from Los Angeles Times gave this a negative review, a rotten review, as they say, and said, and speaking of rotten, she says, I feel just rotten about this, but I'm afraid I've outgrown James.
Well, that's the thing. Like, would you recommend this movie for a child?
Oh, gosh, no.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? It's actually got enough adventure qualities about it that it could, like a kid could watch this and get amongst it. But it's like a kid could watch The Phantom Menace and enjoy like, the lightsaber fights.
Oh my
and
God.
He's
He's going down. He's going down the mountain. He screams, "Now this is pod racing."
But they'd have no idea of like the political turmoil that's trying to be like described to the audience and whatnot during that film.
Because isn't this set when like Russia's invading Afghanistan?
Yeah, like it brings up the fact that like there's these like rebel war groups in Afghanistan that are trying to fight for like their land and their place and are trying to like get the Soviet Union out of there. Yeah, so there's a lot of kind of like the plot again is very convoluted in a lot of ways, and you're never really sure at first of what's going on and why the things are happening. Like you understand kind of the big players and what they're doing at a certain point in the film, but again, like the why is missing, and so like a kid could easily switch off in moments, but then jump back on board when they slide down on the cello. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So so the kids are just fading in and out of this movie.
But I think Sheila's referring to, in terms of having outgrown James. I think maybe that's referring to like you and I's, like how we've gone slowly insane as we've watched these movies. But we never grew on James, is the thing as well.
That's the thing. We were never there in the first place.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Who knows?
Chuck O'Leary from Fantasia Daily. He liked it, Brenton. He said, I'm one of the few people who really like Timothy Dalton as James Bond. 3 out of 5.
Why is there only few people that liked Timothy Dalton?
Yeah.
Because I think he's fantastic. I think he's one of the best.
I agree. You know, he actually should have been in other Bond films. Put him in, you know, Goldfinger. Put him in Goldeneye and all that. I think it would be great.
I like him better than Pierce Brosnan. Not saying that Pierce Brosnan's bad.
No, but I think he's a lot better. God.
Yeah, Knox M gives this 2.5 stars and says The Living Daylights is a Bond film you have to watch twice to notice that it is a good film. But then you watch it again and you're back to your original opinion. It's not that good. Knox M, that actually wasn't a bad review because it was as convoluted as the plot of this film.
It really was, wasn't it? I mean, is he wrong?
I don't know. I mean, like, maybe I will. Maybe I shouldn't watch this ever again because I might go, oh, I was horribly wrong.
I'm going to call it right now. I don't think you will ever see this movie again, Brenton.
You might not be wrong then, Nathan.
John O, 2.5 stars, and wrote, decent action. The worst Bond girl of the franchise, in my opinion.
Ooh, damn. Shots fired.
Jeez, John O, no courtesy there. I don't think she's the worst by any stretch.
No, but you weren't exactly taken by her.
No, I didn't really like her arc. I liked whose arcs have I liked? Oh, I like Diana Ross. I think she's probably still the best. She's probably the most to do. Also, Vesper's great. Wait, we're talking about worse ones though. I didn't like the Bond girl from Quantum. Have you seen Quantum?
No, yeah, I agree.
Oh.
Quantum of Solace. I was like,
I like Olga as an actress, but I don't think she did much to do in that movie, sadly.
Who was the other Bond girl in that one?
Oh, in
British
that
girl.
one, it was redhead chick because
what's her name?
Gemma Matheson or something like that.
Yeah, you were so close. Gemma was right. Arterton.
Oh, Gemma Arterton, that's it. Yeah, because she's the one that gets covered in oil, and And Judi Dench is like, for fuck's sake, Bond. Like, she's like, stop it.
I saw that film because I watched that film ages ago and I was like, what's going on with the oil thing? I was like, why? And then I was kind of lost from that point onwards.
Oh. Eddie Horn wrote, this is my favorite Bond movie. We watch it every year on my birthday.
Oh,
that's sweet.
good on you, Eddie Horn.
Do you have a birthday movie, Brenton?
Not really.
No, on your birthday, probably that's the last thing you're doing, right?
Well, yeah, like, because, like, you know, you're making the most of your birthday and you want to interact with the people around you. But, like, hey, no hate on Eddie. That's a great way to do it, because it sounds like he says we watch it every year on my birthday.
Yeah, it must be like a family bonding movie, like... Yeah.
Everyone, a family bonding movie. I like that, Nathan. I like it. Mr. Purser says, how does a 00 agent get stuck in a tree after a drop? Sloppy or what? I agree, Mr. Purser. Like, those agents suck at the start of this film, and they're all fucking useless.
They're so bad. Did it remind you of Deadpool 2 when, like, they're all parachuting and being murdered? Like...
maybe that was the inspiration. This was the inspiration for that scene.
Probably.
They're like, let's do a Living Daylights.
Oh.
Guys, thank you so much for listening in once again to Classic Movie Banter. It really means the world to us. But let us know what you think. What you thought of The Living Daylights, and let us know on our Twitter page and our Instagram in the comments, on the YouTube comments. Send us an email if you like. We'll respond to that as well. And stay active, stay interacting with us. We love to hear from you guys.
Stay active,
and if you
do some runs, you know. Like
yeah. Do some exercise, keep that body moving. It's always fun. And yeah, like, we can't wait to see you guys next week, obviously. But until then, Nathan, my cello's looking really good at the moment, and that case is looking even better.
Please take that out of my house, Brenton.
Can we find a hill nearby and maybe just, like, give this a go?
Oh, okay. No, I'm all for that. But you got to take off that weird mannequin head first.
Please don't refer to Sandra like that.
Oh, no.
Come on, Sandra, let's go.
Wee.
And I'll be the Bond girl.